I did too. And you know what? I've checked it multiple times today. Today is the day that the warranty on my original Apple Watch expires. And I want to renew it because apparently you can now extend them forever, like pay $6 a month and just extend them. So I need to find out if that's true. And if it's not true, I'm upset. Yeah. Okay, we are live. We're live everywhere. So that means I can actually say hello and welcome back to Ask a Traffic Cop. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. We go live on social media to answer your traffic and police questions, and we are happy to be here. It's been a couple of weeks. We had some stuff happen. You may have been following it in the news, and we needed to take some time, and we have taken that time, and now we're back because we left you hanging. There's lots of things you needed answers to, and well, we weren't here to answer them. So apologies for the radio silence or video silence or TikTok silence or wherever you're watching. And you could be watching on multiple places. You could have us on two platforms at one time if you really were, so inclined. But we are currently broadcasting to and getting to you on multiple platforms. So where are we? We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We're on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn. We're everywhere, and you can answer, or I answer. You can ask questions by using the Q&A function on Instagram. I would say use the Q&A function, but has it been 6 months yet that TikTok's been broken with the Q&A business? In any case, it does not work. Almost choked there. And you can ask us questions in the chat. We've got a couple folks who are helping out. And it makes life easy to bring questions forward so we can give you the attention you deserve. Now, if you want to ask questions and you're just not getting them seen, you could always go to trafficcop.ca. That's going to take you to my link tree. And on the link tree, you can join us on our Volley space. Volley is a community group that you can jump into and ask questions. And we have them pop up on the computer screen right over there. Now, we have folks who are watching on other platforms. And all of them work except for Twitter. Twitter, you can't ask us questions. So if you're watching on Twitter, we love you and we want to hear from you, but you got to jump to one of the other things. So Traffic Services, Toronto Police, that will be the username on YouTube. And you can join there and you can be really active. But let's see who's in here. We got Chase, who's coming back and says welcome back. Jacob says good morning. We got Akela Jaconis. They're all coming in from YouTube. And then we've got an unknown private person coming in from LinkedIn who might be Andrew, but it could be George. It could be a couple of different people who are regulars. They say, hi, Sean. And Chase says Q&A has been broken since June. So not quite 6 months, but it feels like an eternity. An eternity. Anyway. Pepe says, welcome back. And we've got from Twitch, we've got, what is your username? I don't know how to pronounce this combination of letters. Who has a question, an opinion question about the intrusiveness of regulating stunt driving on private property. I'm extrapolating from what they wrote to what they mean. Let's see here. Oh, okay, cool. Killage came by Traffic Services and I didn't see him. Rob Baker, where did you go? Okay, we'll get back to it. We'll talk about ultimately, and just to cover it off, we lost a member. A member of the service was murdered. He was shot in the line of duty, and and we had a funeral last week, and there were a lot of preparations and a lot of mourning going on, and we're still mourning, but we took a break from social media and we're back. So that's where we was. Now let's get into the whole questions because there's so many of them. Okay, let's see here. We have, hi, what's happening with the blue license plates? Are they being replaced with the white ones? I hope so, because I really don't like the blue ones. I mean, I like the Kleenex box. It looks cool, but at the same time, it's hard to read. It doesn't light up, or it lights up too much, and it's unreadable at night. So they should be. I don't think they're issuing them anymore. I think they're all the white plates again. But for the ones that were already issued, I imagine it's going to be a cycle of time. I don't know of any official program taking them back and replacing them, but it is stuff we'll be tracking, and if we hear anything, we'll let you know. We have a comment just saying, my condolences to the whole department for the loss of your friend. Yeah, losing Andrew is a tough go. I want to make sure that we've got, let's just make sure that we have our audio settings done correctly here, as I realize that, yeah, that's looking good. Okay, cool. I realize that we haven't sat down in a while to look at things. And joining me, by the way, I neglected to introduce Aaron Urquhart, who is TPS_Bikehart on social media. Bike officer extraordinaire. Like, what? Good morning.
Good morning. Hello, everyone.
It's been a while.
It has been a good 2 weeks. That's a long time.
It is. I don't think I was off for 2 weeks when I was on vacation.
No, you would still go live at Disney World.
Yeah, I was still going live from my hotel room.
Yeah.
This was a little different. Yeah, this has been a very needed pause, but it's been difficult because I like being connected with everybody. We have here. Oh, here's a question. If my car was built. Oh, sorry. And just going back to the Aaron story. Aaron is a parking enforcement officer who bike patrols and is a huge biking advocate. And if you have questions about parking or cycling in the city. And parking in bike lanes and things like that. That's the meat and potatoes right there.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. Here's a question so if my car was built with no catalytic converters from the factory, is it still legal to be on the road? So there are a couple of products, a couple of vehicles that were made with multiple either combinations of turbos and resonators that don't have actual mufflers, but they're like the Fiat 500, I think, is one of them. Yeah, that's legal to be on the road. That's the way it comes from factory, and that's one of the few vehicles on the road that doesn't require a muffler because it's so quiet. But if that thing's making noise, guess what? If you've modified it and it shipped with if you've modified it to be noisier, you may not be covered. You're creating unnecessary noise at that point. You're probably not meeting the requirements as it was originally shipped. So if it's factory and you haven't modified it and you don't have a muffler because that's the way it came, you're going to be good to go. I imagine that causes a lot of confusion because as a police officer, we're looking for the muffler. Where's the muffler? Well, if we know the car, or if you educate the officer about the fact that it was stocked that way, you'll probably be just fine. And I say probably because it's a matter of the officer may not believe you. They may have some Googling to do. But I was shocked. I didn't even know that. For years, being a police officer, didn't realize that some cars were shipped. I mean, they have tiny motors. I'm being mean. No, the Fiat is a very nice vehicle. I just don't fit inside of it. So I'm 6'5". That vehicle was not made for me. Moving on. What is the fine for no license plate lights? So you're obligated to illuminate your license plate with a light with more than is a minimum of 3 lumens, I believe, is the brightness of the bulb. It's a $110 fine. No demerit points. Let's see here. Are there any left lanes in city streets considered a passing lane, like on a highway? Well, I got to tell you that there's no such thing as a passing lane. No actual in-law deemed or designated passing lane. It is terminology that has been, I don't want to say rule of thumb because that's inappropriate. But the deal is there's no passing lane. It is the left lane intended for passing, but it's not a passing lane. We just call it that. Every lane is the same speed limit. Every lane is meant to be driven on. We say stay to the right unless passing, or slower moving traffic should stay to the right. That's a different story. It's not that you're in one lane that is officially of a different purpose. But because you're supposed to pass on the left, it's become the passing lane, at least through what we call it. But yeah, all lanes are the same speed limit, and you're supposed to pass on the left. So no, there's no designated passing lanes anywhere. Does a police officer from another region have jurisdiction to pull you over? Yes, they do. You are a police officer, or a police officer in Ontario is sworn in for the entire province, not just the city or town that they work in. So if I'm anywhere in Ontario, I have the powers of a police officer. Now, we generally don't pull people over very far outside of our jurisdiction, because when we issue a ticket from our system, it's going to tell you to go to court in Toronto. Well, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to have you drive across country to come back. So if we're doing something where we are, for whatever reason, doing enforcement, we would call a local police officer to issue the ticket based on our evidence. But we do have the authority, and you must stop for that police officer. And we do work in teams outside of Toronto sometimes on special projects. So it could happen. What do we have here? What happens if a cop sees you crossing the road on a dirt bike? I don't know, because dirt bikes are prohibited in Toronto. There's no place to ride a dirt bike, and you can't have them on the road. So if you're crossing from one side to the other, dirt bikes can't be operated. I don't even think you can cross the road. So technically, you could be charged for drive no insurance, drive off-road vehicle on road. But it's something that I'm not familiar with because we don't deal with dirt bikes in Toronto. It's just something I don't know much about. Now, Sergeant Campbell, who threatened that he might join us this morning, does know lots about that stuff. And if he comes back, we'll talk more about it. I know that ATVs can be on the road in certain jurisdictions. Toronto's not one of them. But for dirt bikes, it's a no-go anywhere on the road. And I think you need to actually walk it across the road to be technical and legal. Okay, going downhill and inadvertent go over speed limit, do I have grounds for appeal? No, you're actually responsible for your speed, regardless if you're going uphill, downhill. You're on the road. You cannot exceed the speed limit for any reason, even if gravity is assisting you. You have brakes for a reason. You're supposed to slow down. Is accelerating the same as speeding if not under the speed limit? Speeding means in excess of the posted speed limit. Accelerating is accelerating from a stop. It's an increase in speed. They don't mean the same thing. Can you accelerate to the speed limit? Are you getting at, like, can you accelerate quickly? That could be stunt or careless or dangerous driving, depending on the observations of an officer. So it depends. I need to know more. Are stickers when not blocking the rear view allowed on the back window? The back window doesn't have to exist. It could be completely boarded up with wood, metal, cardboard, whatever you want. As long as you have a clear view to the rear, you must have at least one mirror to the rear. So if you're blocking your rear view mirror that's hanging on your windshield, then your mirror on your left or right driver or passenger door must be visible to the rear clear view. At that point, your stickers don't matter. If you don't have side mirrors for one reason or another, then you would have to have a clear view through the rear window. What is considered as stunt driving? Well, I can read you all of the definitions if you would like. Let's do that because we haven't talked about it in a while. It's like we're back to basics here. So stunt driving. Do you know, Aaron, all of the stunt driving, the list of offenses?
Do I know them all?
Well,
no, but I know I know one thing, but I don't know like the actual offense. Isn't it over 140 or 150 kilometers is considered stunt driving?
So a 150 anywhere is stunt driving. 40 over in 40 kilometers over the posted limit if the speed limit is under 80 is stunt driving. 50 over the speed limit if the speed limit is 80 and over is stunt driving. But there's a whole bunch of other things like driving with someone in your trunk.
That's stunt driving?
That is stunt driving.
So hold on, just side note. So if you kidnap someone and put them in your trunk, is that considered stunt driving?
Yeah, we'll lay the extra charge, sure. So let me read to you the list. So all tires not in contact with the highway or cause tire to lose traction, spin or circle without control in oncoming traffic portion of highway, person in trunk, driver not in driver's seat, prevent passing, stop or slow to interfere with another vehicle. This is driving too close to a vehicle, pedestrian, or object. Turn left from red light before oncoming traffic, also known as a jackrabbit start. Speeding by 40 or more kilometers an hour in a zone that's less than 80. We covered that. And speeding 50 or more in an 80 kilometer or more zone, and speeding 150 or more. So let's go back to the original one. So all tires not in contact with highways. So if you manage to wheelie or endo or corner so hard that your two wheels come off the ground, yeah, that's stunt driving. Cause tire to lose traction, burnouts. Spin or circle without control, that's going to be donuts. Drive in oncoming traffic portion of highway. Driving into oncoming traffic, that makes sense to me. Person in trunk, we covered. Driver not in driver's seat. So some people do this ghost riding where they walk beside the car when the vehicle's in gear.
Okay.
Yeah, that's stupid and stunt driving. Or sit in the passenger seat or slide to the back seat, like whatever the case is. Not being and in a Tesla, people have been doing this. They put it into auto drive and then think it's cute to jump out of the seat. Stunt driving. Drive too close to vehicle, pedestrian, or object. I've never laid this charge, but I imagine if it's going to be, like rubbing up to the vehicle next to you or trying to tap mirrors or intentionally, of course. Unintentionally, it's just really bad driving. And mind you, it'd still be chargeable, I suppose. Turn left from red light on oncoming traffic. That's when it turns green and you drive left in front of everybody else because someone's got to go somewhere fast. Yeah, that's stunt driving. Okay. So hopefully that answers your question because that's what I got. Why G1 license holders can't get insurance? Well, G1 license holders you don't have to insure a motor vehicle, You could insure a motor vehicle, but you wouldn't be insurable as a driver because you don't have a license. You have a learner's permit, which requires somebody else to be driving or to be supervising you, and they generally have the driver's license and the insurance and all that jazz because you shouldn't be owning a car really as a G1 driver, but you can. You could be an unlicensed person, own and insure a vehicle, and then find someone to drive it. But insurance companies may not want to insure you, but it does happen. What do we have of this?
I see a question that's popped up multiple times. I don't know if we can answer it, though.
Maybe.
But how long does it take for ticket disputes to go through?
I don't know if the answer is available because things have
mean.
really changed. It used to be that you could expect to be in court and resolved, and an average case would be no more than a year. And during COVID, that was extended to 2 years. And things have taken even beyond that. So it depends. And if you think it's gone too long, you're entitled to make it an 11B application to say that it's been too long. But that's all up to you to make those applications or someone that you've hired to do it on your behalf. And at the end of the day, you should look at the guide for defendants at Provincial Offences Court. There is a guide that is published, and you can get all the instruction and explanation to all sorts of things that you need to know as a defendant in Ontario for POA, Provincial Offences Act specifically. Okay. What do we have here? Here we go. I got a ticket for a minor violation 2 years ago. I've asked for a trial. How long should I wait? What do you mean how long you should wait? I mean, if you've asked for a trial, 2 years, you follow up. I wouldn't just expect that they're waiting to talk to you. They could have filed incorrectly. They could have convicted you. If they had a court date that you didn't get notified of for some reason, you may have been convicted at your absence. If they had a court date that they thought you were going to show up to and you didn't, there's a bunch of things that could have gone wrong. So you need to take matters into your own hands and contact the court. Find out.
Sorry, I'm laughing. Someone's like, all in caps lock. How is your beard so good? In the chat.
It's a lot of practice and concentration. I bought a beard brush over the weekend. I bought a boar beard brush. Yes, I've been looking for a beard brush, and I found one at Marshall's, $6.50. It was a deal. Couldn't say no. If I make my retired police SUV look like a police car without the word police or lights, is that okay? You run into a number of issues. Looking like the police can have very deadly consequences. Not only could it be deadly and dangerous for you as the driver of that vehicle, but you may be charged for confusing the vehicle with police. Depends on what you're doing with that vehicle as well. But on itself, just having a vehicle that looks like a police car, if you don't have flashing lights, if you don't have red lights, you might be okay legally. But be careful. Can you get pulled over for going 5 over? Yes, you can. You can get pulled over for going 1 over. Thanks, Q. It depends on if you're breaking the rules, and you are breaking the rules. If you're going 1 kilometer over, you're entitled to be pulled over. In fact, we can pull you over just to ensure that you are a licensed driver, that you're insured, and that you have your insurance documents and the status of your insurance and the status of your sobriety. Yeah, it's proof of it's insurance, it's license status, and sobriety. Okay, what we got here? Do officers have to swear a new oath since the Queen has passed? Allegiance is now with the King. It's an interesting question, and I don't know the answer. I imagine that our oath would remain, and then they'll probably change those things in the future. But I don't know. It is an interesting question. Do you know the answer, Aaron?
Sorry, what? I was preoccupied in the chat.
You were typing. I saw your fingers lightning flashing there. No, the question was, do we have to swear a new oath since the Queen has passed?
Oh, I think I answered that. I just said no, but that could be wrong. But from what I've heard, I haven't heard anything being re-sworn in or anything like that.
I don't think so. Listen, I have an ID that was signed by a previous chief. I didn't get a new one because the chief changed. Mm-hmm. That would be expensive. A lot of cards, a lot of warrant cards. Okay. How many people can you have in a vehicle legally? Is it equal to the number of seatbelts? Yes. Well, yes and no. Depends on when your car was manufactured. So If your vehicle was manufactured and after seatbelt laws were in place, then yes, you can only have as many people in the seats as you have seatbelts. You cannot put 2 people in one seatbelt. It has to be, if it's designed for one person can sit in that seat. That's it. So if you have a 4-seater, it's a 4-seater vehicle, 4 seatbelts for people, period. Nobody goes in the trunk. Nobody goes in the flatbed of a truck. Not allowed. We have Big Jeff Fresh with a good morning. We have Leo Wife, my wife, watching, and that says good morning. We have. Did I miss anybody else? Okay. What do we? I'm missing. I missed something. I started to talk about the question of. Did I miss it entirely? Oh, so this was one I mentioned and I forgot to come back to it. Sorry, Ian. Is it Ian? I don't know. So the statement was, does it seem intrusive that burnouts aren't allowed on private property? So no, because burnouts on private property cover malls that are not your private property, but the law is blanket in that it includes all private property. The only exemptions are for tracks. You know, if you have a racetrack, you can do it. But it is the deal is you can't do burnouts anywhere. Is it intrusive? That's up to I didn't make the law. I don't think there's any reason why anyone should be doing burnouts. It's kind of silly, and you burn rubber. It's expensive, but hey, if you want to do it at a track that wants you to do it there. Okay. So they followed up with saying, just curious, I know that it's dangerous and I know about plazas, but I don't think that it should actually be a law. And yet it is. The powers that be have deemed it to be dangerous and not wanted and not acceptable behavior. And you take your license in hand. Because what happens when you get charged with stunt? We didn't really talk about that. We talked about what is stunt. If you are charged with stunt driving in Ontario, you will lose your license for 30 days roadside immediately. You will lose your vehicle for 14 days. I want to say 15. Why? I don't know. But let's just talk about what happens in court, because it's great to say that things happen roadside, but most people think that that's all that happens, and that's not the case. There's actually more. See, once you're convicted in court, you are liable for a fine of not less than $2,000 and not more than $10,000, and up to a term of imprisonment for a term not to exceed 6 months, or to both. So you could, if the court deemed it appropriate, could give you a $10,000 fine and 6 months in jail. In addition, they will give you a suspension of your driver's license, and they will do that on a first conviction, not less than 1 year and not more than 3 years, for them to determine what's appropriate. And on a second conviction, not less than 3 years, not more than 10 years, and on a third or subsequent conviction, indefinitely. So that's like lifetime. Don't stunt. Stunting bad. Got some Q&A questions that popped in, and question from Undead Neon. Can you have a personalized plate on a pickup truck, blue lettering, not black? Yes, you can. If you get a personalized plate, they don't have black truck personalized plates. You can put a blue plate on that vehicle. It's the only time you'll see a truck with a blue plate. And then Chase has a question, and can I see the transcript? No, I can't. Transcript, here we go. Come on, transcript. There we go. Do you think the HTA says left lanes for passing the charge failed to keep right? Let's see here. Okay, Chase was looking into the passing lane designation, and I'll have to look it up. I don't think that there is a determination that there is a passing lane, just that slower traffic must stay to the right. And we'll look it up in a little while. If you want to ask questions like Chase did and Undead Neon did, they use the Q&A function on Volley. And Volley can be found through trafficcop.ca in my link tree. You will see it there. And Brian O'Connor just saw it there. A bit off topic. What is this? But could you give your... it says, if you can give your past self any advice you have... if you can give your past self any advice you have gained in the present, what would it be? I don't know. There's so many things that I've learned. Don't care what people think about you. Yeah. Say what you got to say. Do what you got to do. Live for you and for the people you love, and not for the people who troll and comment. And that's not just a social media thing. It's just how I live my life. I don't much care about the people who don't like what I have to say or do. I do what I do, and as my grandmother used to say, she has to speak the truth. And yeah, I suffer for the same thing. So don't modify yourself. Be you. Be you every day, all day, and love who you are.
On that note, someone asked me this in the beginning of the chat, and I said I would pass it along to you, and I don't want to let them down. And it was unrelated police, but you could probably gear it to policing. If you had to tell yourself, if you had to tell your future self something from before, like what would you say?
Different than the question I just answered?
Or is that, sorry. Oh my God.
Your timing is awesome.
I am not, I'm sorry, I'm not paying attention to you, and I'm paying attention to the chat. My apologies.
That's awesome. What else? I would also include lottery winning numbers if I could.
I feel so silly.
That's awesome.
I'm going to just shh for the rest.
No, don't do that. If you did, then we wouldn't be able to have a laugh.
Yeah, that's true.
So I totally...
Sorry, there is some distracting things going on in the chat.
Totally
that's why.
That. And for anyone who's watching and says, who are these people on the screen? My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. I go onto social media like I am right now, talking to you about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff in general. So if you've got questions, we've got answers. That's what we do here. We do it more often than not from 10 to 11 Monday to Friday. We didn't go on yesterday because we had a media event, or we had an event in 42 Division. We won't be on tomorrow, but we will be here on Thursday and Friday. We try and do 5 days a week. We do our best, but it doesn't always work out because we have lots of stuff going on. A lot of people say, well, why are you on social media? Why aren't you out on the road doing police stuff? I'm a media relations officer, as is Aaron, although we handle different areas. I handle traffic services along with Sergeant Kulik and Sergeant Campbell, and Aaron is a parking enforcement officer and does the same thing, but in parking. And then we team up and do all this great stuff on social media together.
That's right.
Yeah. We got here. So thank you for Brian for that question. Oh, then Brian follows up with, I'm going to be taking my learners one day. Let's say hypothetically I pass and gain my license. Any advice for once you obtain your license? When you are driving, Brian, drive. Don't text. Don't think about what you're going to do on your math test on the weekend. Weekend. Who does a math test on the weekend? What I'm trying to say is focus on the task at hand. Make sure that the person who's supervising you as a G-class driver with 4 years of experience that's sitting next to you, make sure that they're paying attention to. And that they're a good example, because someone who is just jumping in the car may not be the best person to supervise. Yeah, just saying. I had access to a vehicle. I had a person who qualified as a driver, and not everybody that drove with me was a great driver. And you know what? You learn from the people you observe and the people who coach you. So find a good coach, a good mentor. Daniel jumped in, a new name to the group. What is this? Can you touch a screen of a Tesla? I know you can't touch screens, but the air conditioning is on the screen because you can't turn the air conditioning on a regular car. Okay, so essentially, is it distracted driving to use the touch screen inside of a motor vehicle? It could be careless driving if you're so focused on what you're doing on the touch screen that you can't focus on, driving. The focus is driving. That's what's important. That might be something best for when you're parked or not moving, but it's not illegal. Not unless, again, it negatively impacts your driving. So if you're swerving all over the road, careless driving is what I charge you with, even if you're just touching your air conditioning. But it's not against the law to touch your air conditioning. Those electronic buttons replace tactile, physical buttons of yesteryear, and they're perfectly legal. Now, if you were surfing the internet or you were watching TV, that's different because that's an entertainment device now being ported through that same screen. That would be illegal. When it comes to a cell phone, are you allowed to look at a screen? Well, you can look at it when you see the call display pop up, and you can actually touch the screen momentarily to answer or hang up or deny a call. You can't, however, dial while you're driving. You can't be messing with the screen. You can look at a telephone that is in map mode. If you're in Google Maps and you're driving, and that's in GPS mode, that's legal. You can't set and program destinations on it. That's illegal. So using the device is illegal, whether it's mounted or not, other than simply answering or hanging up. And there you have it. Hopefully that answers your question. If you've got more of them, you know how to get us. Right there. And he's sending a volley right now. Okay. Marking these as viewed, and your next one will come up as unviewed. That's through Volley. That is, to find that space, go to trafficcop.ca. That'll get you to my link tree and to that page. Okay. We have that question. We got that question. Oh, I see. That was a TikTok question, and they got ahead of the line by jumping into Volley. Awesome. What is the rationale for G1 drivers not being able to drive between dusk and dawn? My 16-year-old asked. Okay, so I don't know what the actual rationale is because I have no idea who wrote that rule, and they never justified it to me. But I can tell you what I think it is. And I think it is that in the middle of the night, from midnight till 5 a.m., you're probably in a situation where the person who you're driving for may not be 100%. Maybe they're tired. Maybe the person who's supervising isn't in a good position to be supervising. Because, not only must you be supervising, you have to be sober. You have to be under 0.05 to supervise. So if you blew a fail, well, obviously that's not okay, but you have to be under 0.05. You have to be legally capable of driving yourself. So you can't be the designated driver as a learner's permit holder. The person has to be able to supervise. They have to have their wits about them. And then there's so many scenarios that they're probably trying to protect you from, like being, again, the designated driver at a party. That's my guess. But I don't know. I'm just speculating. What do we have here? Oh, interesting. I feel this is a Brian O'Connor question. I feel this might be very overasked, but what led you to become the person you are today? Like, what led you to become a traffic cop? To be specifically a traffic officer? Well, I actually grew up watching Chips. I wanted to be a police officer since I was a kid. And I wanted to be a motor officer, and I became one. And I worked in the motor squad for quite a long time. I was a motorcycle auxiliary. So when I wanted to join originally, there was a hiring freeze. So I joined the volunteer corps, the auxiliary program, which, by the way, if you're looking for just an awesome volunteer experience, if you have a career but you want to dabble in contributing to your community and doing it in a uniform, then check out the auxiliary program. Also, if you're looking to become a police officer, we are currently hiring. www.tps.ca is where you go /careers to specifically get into the recruiting section. And you can apply there to become a police officer or to become an auxiliary officer or even a civilian member. And I joined, and because I was a motorcycle rider, I became a traffic auxiliary. And I cemented the fact that I loved traffic. I'm a traffic geek. I like it. And then, fast forward 22 years, because that's how long it's been since I joined the Toronto Police Service, everything has pointed me back towards traffic. I did a stint when I was in 12th Division after becoming a police officer because I didn't become a police officer right away. I was a volunteer auxiliary. In the same year, in 2000, I became a court officer. And I did that for a long time. In fact, I was a supervisor at Old City Hall and within court services, prisoner transportation, and such. I didn't work specifically in prisoner transportation, but court officers were responsible for that activity, picking people up from jail, bringing them to the courthouse to see court, and so on. So I had a great time doing that, but I knew I wanted to get back to becoming a police officer and working in traffic. So I patched over, became a police officer, went to 12th Division, worked there for a while. But there was an opportunity to come to traffic, and that's where I wanted to be. And here I am. I've done a number of different jobs within the traffic unit, and they're all awesome. So that's where I am. That's how I got here, and I hope that answers your question. If you were going for something different, like did I wake up one day and say I wanted to save people from tickets, and I wanted to give them advice online, no, it didn't exactly go that way. Okay. Can I have a booster seat in the front seat of a two-seater car? You can, legally, although we advise you don't. So we suggest that children under the age of 14 remain in the back seat until they're 14. And it's not just a matter of law, because it's not a legal requirement. It is a safety thing. We know that their skeletal development hasn't gotten to the point that it should be. Also, airbags are very dangerous for small people. And children who, again, are smaller and not fully developed are in higher risk of being injured, if not killed. So backseat best. But I had a two-door Jeep with two seats because it didn't have any in the back. And I put a child seat there, and I put the seat as far back as I could. And if you can disable the airbags, you're even better. But any way you put it, backseat is best. What is this? Although legal to transport a non-restricted firearm, would it be confiscated? Why? If it's legal and if you're legally in possession of the firearm and it's being transported as per law, then why would we confiscate it? I don't understand. Where do I go to get my license plate renewed, and how much does it cost? I just moved to Ontario. Okay, so you have to go to an Ontario location. What do we have here? Sorry, stand by. I saw a bunch of internal emails, and I wonder if they're related to... I don't think it is. Okay. I thought it might be show related. We have people from the service sending me, messages. Mm-hmm. But it happens. It happens. Okay. Sorry. I just lost my train of thought. Aaron, what was I saying? While you weren't listening to me,
I was listening while you were just saying people from. Well, before that, I was answering questions in the chat.
They were asking about renewing their license plates because they just moved to Ontario.
I did see that question. And where do I go and how much does it cost?
So Service Ontario is where you will change your plates to register your vehicle for Ontario. But let's say you bought the vehicle here and you're just renewing. You go to the MTO, just Google MTO Ontario plate renewal, and you'll go to the website. It's no cost to renew anymore. You can do it for 1 or 2 years, although I have no idea why anybody would choose 1 year. I just don't understand. So do it for 2 years, because that's my suggestion. Tell them I told you so. And it's a website. They don't care. But renew for 2 years is no cost for most vehicles. If you're over 3,000 or 35, I think it's 3,000 kilos. If you're over 3,000 kilos, it's going to be a different setup, a different rule. But for motorcycles, light vehicles, and vehicles under 3,000, it should be no charge at all for you. They may charge you some money if you haven't paid all of your bills. If you have outstanding fines, they will likely want their money before they give you the status of renewed. But that's the thing. They don't break rules, don't pay fines because they don't bill you when you don't break the rules. What do we got here? Brian says, may I ask a question a little off topic, or should it be cop related? That, Brian, is up to you. You can ask. We'll see if I answer.
That was the person who I double asked the question that you answered before.
But we've been having dialogue here.
That's good. Well, I told them to jump over to your volley, and they're like, "What's volley?" And I was like, "Go to his link tree." So
see?
Yeah.
Okay. Someone says new product dog neck warmer. Is that the picture that I'm looking at? Hold on. Let's see. Let's see this. Oh my! It's a picture of a Chihuahua sitting on the driver's shoulder. Dog neck warmer. I get it, Akela. Driving with an animal on your lap, I imagine even on your shoulder, that's not legal. That's drive while crowded or careless driving. It's not permitted. Don't do it. That's bad. And the animal will likely not survive a collision. Okay. Daniel says, maybe a silly question, but can you check your Apple Watch while driving? What can't you do with it? That's actually a fantastic... Why is this... What is this? Oh, it says my live is limited. We got a warning for something. I have no idea what my warning was for because, I have no idea what they're talking about. In any case, we are... I haven't really got to look into that. It says it got limited for some reason. Did it say out there that it got limited?
No, like time limit or...
I don't know. It says live is limited. Reason TikTok does not promote the content that manipulates user engagement such as followed. If we don't follow anybody, I don't know what's going on. Oh. Anyway, you know what? We've had that warning before. We still don't know why. But we'll screen grab it. We'll send it to TikTok and say, what's up?
Someone did have a question regarding a parking thing.
Stand by on that for 1 second, because the question was, what can you do on an Apple Watch? And I have an Apple Watch.
Oh.
You can't obviously be manipulating the screen. So you can look at your Apple Watch for time, because it's a watch. But if you're reading emails on it or responding to emails on it, other than voice controls, because you can just dictate it to it. Yeah, you can dictate to your Apple Watch. You can use Siri. But that's it. You can't be reading emails on it. You can't be surfing through apps and navigating on the screen, because that is a handheld communication device, despite the fact that it's attached to your wrist. And we've had people charged and convicted for it. So don't do that. That's bad. Now, you had a parking question. Sorry.
Yeah, it was actually in regards to one of my TikToks on the parking account I did last week, where we were towing a vehicle without an accessible permit that was in an accessible spot. So someone asked, are we towing for that now? And I just wanted to say that you can be towed anytime if you're parked illegally. That was a certain circumstance that we were doing a towing detail. But just at the end of the day, if you are parked illegally anywhere at any time, you can be towed. So just be aware of that.
This is good stuff. Yeah. There are many people who need to be towed on a regular basis. Maybe we don't tow enough.
Yeah, well, a lot of people were saying that we want more of this, more towing accessible spots. So yeah, it's something that we're going to be looking into for sure.
Yeah. And then the scofflaw stuff, which is separate, right?
Yes.
Okay. Scofflaws with 10 tickets, then we just tow the vehicle?
10 or more, yes. Automatic tow. So pay your tickets or you'll get towed.
Yeah, don't do
Or just don't park illegally and you won't get tickets.
Amazing.
How about that?
It's a brilliant idea. We should spread the word. Don't break laws. I live at a corner house at a stop sign. 95% of cars do not stop. What can I do? I too once lived in Toronto in front of a stop sign, and I wanted to see. I have no hair. It's because I pulled it all out watching people not stop at stop signs. It's a major problem. Go on to tps.ca. It's if you're in Toronto, and you can report a neighborhood traffic issue. That is a neighborhood traffic issue. And when you create that report, it gets assigned to an officer for response. And likely what will happen is you'll find more police at that corner. It's a big problem. We have people who do not respect traffic laws. And I don't understand why, because they are designed not to take your money out of your pocket. It's to make the road safer. If you break the rules, you're going to pay. The idea is if you pay, you have a bad taste in your mouth from having to pay, and then you don't break the law again. But people are just, the me mentality of I got to get to where I'm going, and it doesn't matter who I hurt in the process. And most people think it's pretty harmless to roll a stop sign, and it's not, because you're developing really, really bad driving behavior and habits. Okay. Is it true that every Is it true that every at-fault driver in an accident gets a careless driving ticket? No, there are no absolutes. So not everyone gets charged in every situation, and we may not determine fault in every collision. There may not be sufficient evidence. There may be statements that are incomplete. The one person says they did it and it's their fault, and the other person says the opposite. So we may charge a driver for what we can substantiate. Independent witnesses really help. Video really helps. Dash cam really helps. And at the end of the day, your insurance company makes a determination from their perspective as to, percentage of fault. We charge based on driving activity that we can substantiate and prove. There we go. Does the HTA require bicycles to ride on the right side of the road? Yes. Do you mean like on the curb? So here's the deal. A bicycle that is maintaining the flow of traffic, capable of being at the speed that the traffic is flowing, can take the entire lane. If they are unable to maintain that speed, they are obligated to be at the right side of the road or the curb side. And then vehicles have to give them a meter of space to get around them safely. Now, when there is a safety issue or an obstruction or gravel or some kind of issue preventing a cyclist from safely operating in that curb side of the lane, the right side of the lane, then they are able to come out take up the full lane as needed. Now, that could be a kilometer of unsafe area. They could take the entire route, the entire lane. So it really depends. But yes, you're entitled to a lane unless there's they're going slow and there's a safer place being at the right side of the road. Did I say that was the same thing? I said it both ways, but it is both ways. Let's see here. Brian has lots of these very interesting questions. Follow up to my question about off topic. If you could go to 3 places in the world, where would you go? Who would you take? What would you do there? How long would you stay there?
That's a pretty loaded question.
This is pretty deep. I don't know.
Maybe make a volley answer to that.
That might be a volley answer. We'll come back to this later. Is stickers on car doors allowed? Do you mean like sticker? What kind of stickers? Like on the door itself, on the window itself, on where? You can't block the view of a driver, whether it be the side, front, or rear. So it really depends. But stickers on the body of the car, you can go nuts. Now, if you're substantially changing the color of your vehicle, like a wrap, and your blue car is now green, then you have to update the Ministry of Transportation to state that your vehicle is no longer the color that it's registered as. But that's a different story. You have thoughts? You have things?
Me? No, I'm just adjusting.
Just adjusting.
Adjusting the mic.
Why does Ontario have black plates for trucks? They are the only province that splits them like this. They're black plates or truck plates are for commercial purposes, and that's why they're a truck that is registered as a truck goes into a different category. And then you have when you had decals or we call it renewal validation stickers, they went on the front because more often than not, commercial vehicles were towing and would block that sticker from view. But that's ultimately why. It's because they're considered for commercial, and then they put a little sticker on that says not for commercial, and it's based on the VIN and what it's classified as.
I don't know why I don't know. I'm just sorry, I'm talking to myself, but there was another parking question as well.
Okay. Well,
and it's also, something that you like to talk about as well.
Oh.
Accessible permits.
Yes.
Can you please clarify disability parking permits at no parking signs in downtown Toronto? I did answer in the chat, but I will say it out loud for everyone else. So if you have an accessible permit and it is your permit, or you are dropping somebody off who that permit is assigned to, you are exempt in regular no parking zones. So the sign with the P with the slash through it, people with accessible permits are allowed to park there and they will not get ticketed unless they are obstructing the roadway or the flow of traffic. So just keep that in mind. So make sure you're not going to be blocking the flow of traffic, parking too close to intersections, corners, so on and so forth. But you are exempt there.
I love the question. I love the question, are you a real cop? And Emma replied for me. And yes, I am a police officer with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. I do this social media thing because I'm a social media and media relations officer. So I talk to y'all here because that's part of what I do. But I am a real police officer. And I was on regular duty until I was on my motorcycle and hit by a car. And I ended up doing a number of different things until one day an opportunity came to be involved with social media. And then, well, that was like 2 years ago, and we've never looked back. It's been pretty cool. Wild ride, even. Do out-of-province tickets affect Ontario licenses? Yes, they do. Out of state as well, or out of country. Because if you get charged in New York State, in Michigan, those all come right back. Now, every state has different reciprocal agreements with different provinces and states. So what gets reported back, I can't guarantee, but I know that we have an agreement with New York and Michigan because we border on those provinces. Can Toronto Police see drop charges if they check your file? We can see anything we laid. So if we issued a ticket and it got dropped, we see that we issued the ticket. If somebody else issued the ticket, if they're on the same system, we might see that you were stopped and charged, but the conviction won't show up on your ministry thing. But we'll see that we saw that there was a police interaction. Interesting. So Brian has a last question, and Brian, your question before we'll talk about in volley, but this one's an interesting one. It's police related. This might be my last question. Well, you don't have to say your last. Volley is open 24/7. It just takes a while for us to get back to you. When a police arrests you, they say, like, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say will be held against you in the court of law and so on. Do traffic cops have to say something similar or no? So that is Miranda rights, the way you've read it. We have cautions that we read to you, rights to counsel, and so on. They're different than what you put down in your question. But when we arrest someone, we do say, we read the rights to counsel. So that's something we do when we arrest you. But when we're issuing a ticket, we don't have the same thing. It's not an arrest. It's issuing a provincial offenses notice. What is this? What are the rules when you get hit in a parking lot? Depends what we're talking about. If you're saying if you had a collision, your vehicle was struck, it's a collision, and it still falls under all the same reporting requirements. However, we don't generally write or issue tickets. I say generally issue tickets because stunt driving is a charge we can lay on private property. There is a requirement for you to report and exchange information, and you have to remain on scene. Excuse me. And if you fail to remain, there's a charge that could be associated there or laid there. But you just get into a minor offender vendor and you go report it. Charges don't get laid there in most cases. So I don't know what you mean by the rules. Like, you still have to report it. You still have to exchange information. There's an obligation. Sergeant Campbell.
Hello, Sean.
Someone is advising me to tell you to look at the YouTube chat, sir.
The YouTube chat.
Here, do you want to sit here? I have to step out.
Okay. We're having shift change.
Oh.
Lots of action here. Lots of action. Okay. How serious is failing to stop for a police officer? Is it easy to have the ticket dropped in court? Sergeant Campbell, that's a great question for you to sit down at.
Well, quite the question to start with. That's probably not really going to be a ticket.
It's probably going to be an arrest.
It's probably going to be an arrest and a vehicle seizure and a criminal charge.
Yeah, it's got to be like the dumbest thing to do, because you take what would be a simple traffic violation potentially. I mean, it could be a lot more going on, but something simple, and you escalate it into criminal pretty fast.
Yeah, it's you know what? If something's wrong, you got to deal with it, right? So deal with it at the time.
Yes,
You can always make things worse.
and so many people do.
It's unfortunate.
But it is choose your own adventure, so that's a thing. Someone said, what did they say? I thought it was cute. Can a car have a loud exhaust or shoot flames? No. Loud exhausts are going to be unnecessary noise. Shooting flames has got a whole bunch of potential issues, from Environmental Protection Act to what else could it be for shooting flames?
Shooting flames will definitely be an unsafe vehicle. You got a whole bunch of unburnt gas or fuel coming out the exhaust. So environmental protection, absolutely, and the car would come off the road.
Yeah, I think that would be the most appropriate. Lose the license plates, have to go get safetied, and then reapply. So it's going to be some expense and some towing charges and some tickets to deal with. Let's see here. What is this? What is the punishment for stunt driving with a G1 while driving alone? Well, stunt driving is stunt driving, so you're still eligible for all those wonderful charges, along with the vehicle seizure, regardless of who owns it, and the suspension of your driver's license. Now, if you're driving alone with a G1, driving G1 unaccompanied, this is because a G1 is a learner's permit that requires you to be supervised by a licensed driver, a licensed G driver with at least 4 years experience. If you're alone, you're not being supervised, you don't have a license. So you have no insurance, you have no license, you have the ticket for $110 for driving alone, but then you're also going to get a 30-day suspension on your license on your first violation. Second, it's 90 days violation or suspension on your permit. And the third time, you get kicked out of the graduated licensing program. What else? If you took the vehicle without consent, you're looking at being charged for take vehicle without consent. So you've moved into a criminal situation. And if you've taken the vehicle with consent, then the person who lent it to you would be charged for allowing someone to drive in contravention of their conditions. In your case, it would be the condition of driving while supervised by an appropriate licensed driver. I think I got everything there. So the stunt driving is we'll talk about stunt driving. We talked about it earlier in the show, but we'll talk about it quickly again. 30-day license suspension that happens immediately. 14-day vehicle impound, again, regardless of who owns the vehicle. Once you're convicted, 1 to 3 years suspension of your driver's license for your first conviction. Is it $2,000 or $3,000? I think it's $2,000 to $10,000 on your first conviction, and up to 6 months in jail. On your second conviction, it's $3,000 to $10,000. A 3 to 10 year. Wait, that's not right.
I was about to say, I'm not sure.
No, okay. So here we go. I got it right in front of me. 2 to 10 the first time, and up to 6 months in jail. And then, it's not more than 3 years of a suspension on your first conviction, not more than 10 years on your second, and your third time it's an indefinite suspension. I thought there was an increase in dollars. Apparently, it's just from 2 to 10.
Well, I have a feeling that any judge or justice that was hearing that would probably increase it anyways.
Yeah.
It kind of follows within the escalating sanctions kind of theme.
Well, if you're not getting the message,
yeah,
they need to turn up the volume. Can my son go off the car seat? He's going to be 6 in December. My 8-year-old is still in a car seat. They're in a booster style. So it depends on their size and weight. It's not simply their age. And the fact is that you want your child to be as protected as possible for as long as possible. Car seats are designed to do that as long as you're following the rules and you're within the size and weight suggestions or requirements for that particular seat. Don't be in a rush to get them out of it. They are safer in it. And like my kids will probably be 14, 15, maybe 20, I don't know, before they... It's all based on the maximums. So I bought one that will actually take them to 110, 115 pounds if we choose in a booster mode. So it was convertible. But like my cousin who's a doctor says children should be rear facing till 4. So you're only 2 years outside of what he suggests is a rear facing suggestion, and to be taking them out of a car seat. So is not the way. Now, there is a requirement to booster. They could be going into a booster. To actually be out of a car seat altogether, they have to be legally 8 years old, 80 pounds, or 4'9" in height, and even that any one of those three are legal, but that doesn't mean it's safest. So you have to make some checks. Check out SIPSAC.org. They are the place to be for great information about child seats and safety restraints.
Sean, just to add on that, though, is it all depends on your seat that you've actually purchased and are using as well. Don't put somebody into a seat that is outside of its limitations.
Yes.
If you have a seat designed for a smaller child, you may have to invest in a different one to keep them safe. Don't try and put them in just because the law says that they have to be in one and you have to get to the store.
Certainly, if you've got your child in a seat and they are over the weight rating, you're not doing them any favors and you're not meeting the requirements under law. So that's it. Hello. We're on TikTok. We got waves. We have visitors in the office. If I hard brake and the person behind me rear ends me, who's at fault? It could go either way. It depends. If you're braking because you're avoiding, they could be too close to you. If you're braking because you are choosing to create a collision, you could be charged criminally or under the HDA. It depends. Let's see here. My sister is 8 years old and she always wants to sit in the front seat. Is that okay? There is no legal requirement for seating position within the motor vehicle. It is safest to be in the back seat, but it is not an absolute. It is safer in the back seat because airbags and smaller people don't mix. It's simply not a good idea. They deploy it like 200 miles per hour, and hitting someone in the wrong area could be fatal, if not simply serious injury. If you have a dash cam and catch a traffic violation, is it worth submitting to the police? So very often we get complaints about vehicles. There is a gateway on our website, tps.ca, and you can go on and make reports. When you make those reports, there's no way to actually upload a video, but you could upload it to YouTube or another file sharing platform and then send us a link. And it is always good to report things because we actually investigate those things. We may not be able to lay charges simply on the video or the report, but it helps build a case. And people who do it once tend to do it again. And we may be able to attach a pattern of behavior to a particular driver or vehicle. So definitely a thing you can do. Do I get a ticket for not renewing my license plate? Yeah. Your plate is not valid and you wouldn't be able to circulate on the road with it. And it's free, so why wouldn't you renew your license plate? Of course, if you have debt that you have not, if you haven't paid your fines, you may not be able to renew your license plate. It would be a $110 charge, and you could find yourself getting to a suspended plate status at some point, which is even more serious.
You know what, Sean? It goes around in circles, right? If you have unpaid fines and you don't pay them, you're going to end up with more fines.
Yes.
Which you probably are not able to pay. So
this is true.
Yep, and you know what? It's you can do it online for most vehicles. Vehicles that are over 3,000 pound capacity.
Is it pounds or kilos?
I believe it's 3,000. Well, it is 3,000 kilos.
I think it's kilos. Correct. Just because we're rapidly approaching the 11 o'clock mark where we are done for the day. There's a just to give you the heads up, we are back on Thursday at 10 o'clock. So if you have not had your question answered and you want to come back and get us in the live format, 10 a.m. Thursday morning, that's where we'll be. If you want to join us on trafficcop.ca, you can join, or I should say Volley. The link to Volley is found through my link tree, which you can find at trafficcop.ca. Anything you want to jump on? There's a bunch of things we could still, 3 or 4 questions we could hit and go a couple of minutes over.
You can do that. You actually have a visitor here.
I have a visitor?
You have a visitor. He's a police officer and he's a fan.
Oh, well then we should just hang up right now. He should come on the show is what you should do.
Well, we can if you want.
Sure, you're welcome to come and join.
Let me go see if we can find him. I believe this is a police officer from London, England.
No kidding. That's amazing. Okay, yeah. we have a.
Give me 2 seconds.
Did he come over just to say hello?
Well, you never know.
All right.
Let's find out.
Sounds good. All right, I will continue with the question until we have a potential visitor. So we talked about how serious is failing to stop for a police officer? We talked about that. What happens to warning tickets? How long do those stay on record? So the deal is that warning tickets are not tickets. They're provincial offenses warnings, and they're something that stays in our system forever. So it's not on your driver's record. It's not something that the ministry can see, but it is something that is permanent. We have here, for disability permits, can you park if the no parking sign has certain times? No parking, you can actually always park in a no parking sign if you are following the rules of a disability or accessible parking permit. Let's see here. Does a commercial sticker replace the license plate sticker? I don't know what you mean. Does a commercial? I don't know what that is. Okay. Can you refuse to answer cops' questions when being pulled over by police? Nothing compels you to, but I can tell you that it's much better to be polite and actually communicate, because we will have to decipher what's going on, and your inability or unwillingness to comply with simple conversation might mean that there's something to look at. You're actually giving us a clue that we need to spend more time investigating. Listen, if I ask you where you're going and you don't want to tell me, that's your prerogative. If I make a demand for your license, ownership, and insurance, you are obligated to provide that. If I make a demand for a breath test, or I tell you to get out of the vehicle because I'm going to have you do, a roadside screening or a roadside sobriety test, these are things you have to comply with, or you're going to get arrested. If you fail to identify, you don't want to give us your driver's license, you don't want to tell us who you are, then you are going to be charged. And that's again, you're getting into criminal stuff. I drive with my mom who has a G2 and I have a G1. What I get in trouble for? Yes, your mom who has a G2 is not qualified to supervise you. They have to have a driver's license that is a G class, and they have to have a total of 4 years experience. Now, they could have gained that experience when they had their G2. They could have 2 years as a G2 and 2 years as a G. But at the end of the day, they have to have a total of 4 years experience. Now, we are joined in the studio. This is a studio. We get to say that. And I don't know who we're joined by, but we're going to find out.
This is Colin.
Hi, Colin.
From the City of London Police.
Good morning. Good morning.
Morning. Welcome. It's nice to have an international. To have a visitor at all is nice. But to have someone who's come over from the was it across the pond?
It is across the pond, yes, but by aeroplane this time, not by boat.
Well, it's much more efficient. Well, awesome. So are you? Did you come just to hang out here, or did?
We have heard of you, and it's just I didn't know you was here. My partner's daughter resides in Canada now, so we're here for a family visit. And obviously, when you visit an overseas force, it's nice to exchange gifts, and that's what I've done this morning. So,
fantastic! I'm sure we got some more stuff. We'll have some more stuff to send you home with too. We'll raid the closet and get you some stuff. But it's awesome. So how long are you in for?
We're here for a week, and it's terrible. We can't get anywhere because every time I see a police officer, I'll stop, I hand him a pen or something. So it's very slow.
I'm going to be playing this for my wife later, who knows the pain of traveling with a police officer, because I do that everywhere.
You don't do that at all, do you?
No, I never. But it's awesome to have you here.
Thank you very much.
What we'll do is we'll actually say goodbye to everybody on air, and we'll actually. Is there any driving on the wrong side of the road?
It's not the wrong side of the road, John.
It's a bit of a nightmare. I have to have eyes everywhere. It's I just wait for the green man to. I don't take my chances. I'll just wait.
Are you walking or are you driving? Have you rented a car?
No, we're walking because everything's so nearby. It's wonderful. It's, as I said, but it takes a long while. My poor partner, she does moan at me.
So do you have anybody back in at work that you want to shout out to say hello?
Well,
maybe listening.
They won't be listening, bless them. But I'm a dog handler, a canine handler back in the UK, and my two companions, bless them, are in kennels. So I'd like to say hello to Elvis and Boyd, bless them.
There you go. You have to bring back Canadian dog treats.
Oh no, they can't spoil them.
Okay, they'll get used to it. They'll want to come here. Awesome. Well, it's been a blast. This is our we haven't been on in 2 weeks, so now we've now returned and we've gone international with the international. So it's awesome. Well, to everyone who's watching, thank you for spending time with us. We'll be back on Thursday, 10 o'clock, because I'm not here tomorrow. There's an orthodontist appointment, and it's not for me. So that's what's happening tomorrow. So have a wonderful day. Stay safe. If you're driving, drive sober. If you're parking, park legally. And if you're driving in England, make sure you're on the right side of the road. And
no, the left side.
The left side. All right. And with that, you get to hear a song you may not have ever heard before. I'm going to play. This is the traffic song, and I haven't heard it in 2 weeks. Oh, it's not the traffic song. This is the traffic song. See you soon.
Take care, everybody.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt save your life indeed, and watch your driving. Don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get